Yarn Sensation. Hi everyone, welcome to my channel, Yarn Sensation. I'm so happy that you are here with me today. And what I wanted to share with you is my little hair bows that I created. I started out with this one, and how I came about doing this was I was trying to do the seashell pattern. I'm not sure if you have seen it yet or tried to make one, but mine did not turn out so well, and I have the picture of that as well. And I guess that's why I hesitate on patterns. Sometimes I can get it right then, and then sometimes it take me a minute, but I will try again. But trying to do that, I thought of this pattern, and it was to create this little hair bow, and it still kind of looks like a little seashell. And as I was working through this, I was able to create like a leaf pattern with it. Also a little girl's purse that resembles a butterfly, and I will do that tutorial later on as well. So the pattern inspired many other little patterns that I could make, but once I did this, I said, oh, okay, that could be a bow. And it's basically just, if you look at this one, it's just that one, and then I just repeat it again. And you can also keep repeating it and create something else, and I may play with it some more and do just that. So this is the little hair bow, and then I created the little ties at the bottom. You can use the ties, and you can actually make a ponytail and use this to secure it to the hair, or you can leave these little ties as decoration and either glue on a little clamp to secure to your hair, or even a bobby pin will work. So that went to this because you know Halloween is near. So I just did black on one side and orange on the other side, and then just created different color ties. And you know, I always say create it and make it your own. So you may want to do the same color ties, or you may just want to do the same color bow, but it was just a thought for Halloween that I made. And then I just connect the ties up here, and I can show you that as well. And you can use ribbons. You just can be so creative with this. So let's get started, and I will show you how to make it. You will need a 5.5mm hook, a pair of scissors, a stitch marker. You will need 4-ply yarn. You will need your orange and your black, or whatever color you choose to use. To get started, you want to chain 3. You want to place a single crochet in the second chain from the hook, 1, 2. Once you have that single crochet in your last chain, you want to join with a slip stitch. Once you do that, you made a little center hole. You'll place your stitch marker into that center, and this stitch marker will stay in that same position for the entire pattern. Next, you will chain 1, and in that very next stitch, you will complete a single crochet. I know black is not the best color to be showing this in because you can't see what I'm really doing. So what I'm going to do is switch colors. Once I tell you the story about everything, you'll understand my color choice, but this is the only color I can get right now. So I'm just just going to get back to where we have stopped. So you just want to chain 3. And place that single crochet in the second chain and slip stitch into that last stitch, placing the stitch marker in the center. Okay, once you chain 1, you want to place a single crochet into that next stitch, and you will be in the back loop only. You will not be going through both of the loops. Complete that single crochet and go to that last stitch and complete a slip stitch. You want to chain 1, turn your work, and this time you will complete a slip stitch in that first stitch. And remember, slip stitch, you just put the hook into that back loop only, pull your yarn through, and then once again do the loop on your hook. And then in that last stitch, back loop only, you want to complete a single crochet. And when you do that, you have completed that row. So you want to go into that stitch where your stitch marker and complete a slip stitch. So what we will be doing is basically completing 2 rows for 1. And that first row will start off with single crochet, end with a slip stitch. Then you're going to chain 1 and turn your work around, and this time you will start with a slip stitch and end with a single crochet. And as we go around, we will move from completing 1 single crochet, and we will end with 10 single crochets. But don't worry, I will get you through all of it. So next you want to chain 1, turn your work, and remember we will only be working in the back loop only. So this would be a single crochet row. You want to complete a single crochet. In the next stitch, a single crochet. We're moving up from 1 to 2 single crochets. And then in your last stitch, and it may be hard to see as we continue to work, but it'll be that last stitch on the row. And if your hook is hard to go through, just place it there, place 1 finger on that loop, and you can basically pull it over your hook. And you want to complete that slip stitch. Next, chain 1, turn your work. This time, start with a slip stitch. And in those last 2 stitches, a single crochet. As you're looking at your work, you will always end that single crochet on the side with your stitch marker. And once you do that, then you will be completing that slip stitch into the center. Next, you want to chain 1, turn your work, and you will be completing 1, 2, 3 single crochets, and in that last stitch, you want to do your slip stitch. Once you complete that slip stitch, chain 1, turn your work, and this time you will start off with your slip stitch, and then the last 3 will be single crochets. And go ahead and do that, and we will meet back at the end of this row. Okay, and we are back at the stitch marker, so you want to slip stitch into that stitch. Next, you will chain 1, turn your work. In that first stitch, remember, will be a single crochet. And next, you want to place a single crochet in the next 1, 2, 3 stitches. Last stitch, remember, back loop only, you want to do your slip stitch. Next, you will chain 1, turn your work. In that first stitch will be your slip stitch. And in the last 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches, remember, back loop only, will be your single crochets. And we're ending with our single crochet, so we need to slip stitch in our stitch marker. Okay, so I think we're getting the idea of how this works. So next, you're just repeating. Remember, single crochet in that first stitch, and you want to place a single crochet in the next 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches and a slip stitch in that last stitch, and we will meet back at the end of this row. Okay, and as you can see, our slip stitches are on the outer side of our work. Next, you want to chain 1, turn your work. This time you want to start with a slip stitch. And you will have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 single crochets. Remember that last one is somewhat hidden, but it's right there. Okay, and we will meet back. Okay, so once you do that, then remember, slip stitch into your stitch marker stitch, chain 1, turn your work, and for this row you will have a total of 6 single crochets, 1 slip stitch. Remember, we're just starting out, so this one needs to be a single crochet and a single crochet in the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stitches, and your last one will be a slip stitch. Okay, once you complete your slip stitch, chain 1, turn your work, and remember, in your first stitch it will be a slip stitch. And then you will have a single crochet in the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and your 6 is right here. And we will meet back at the end of the row. We're at our stitch marker, so we need to do our slip stitch. chain 1, turn your work, and remember we're starting out, so we need to start with a single crochet in that first back loop only. And next you will complete a single crochet in the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stitches, and that last one will be your slip stitch, and we will meet back at the end. Okay, next chain 1, turn your work. Okay, so we're starting this next row. Remember, you want to start with a slip stitch because you're on the outer side. And you will place a single crochet in the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and remember 7 is right there. And we will meet back at the end of this row. Okay, so we're at the end, and we want to slip stitch into that same stitch as our stitch marker. Okay, so we only have 8, 9, and 10 left, and we will be complete with one side. Next, you want to chain 1, turn your work. Remember, we're at the stitch marker, so we need to start with a single crochet. And then you will be placing a single crochet in the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stitches, back loop only, and remember that last stitch right here will be your slip stitch, and we will meet back at the end of the row. Okay, remember we're on the outside, so we ended with that slip stitch. Chain 1, turn your work, and you will start with a slip stitch in that first stitch. And you want to place 1 single crochet in the next 8 stitches. We're at the end, so we want to join in that same stitch as our stitch marker. And if the stitch marker is starting to get in your way, you can remove it because you will have this center right here, and you'll be able to know where to put it, or you can just keep it here and readjust it to continue working with it. Okay, so next you want to chain 1, turn your work. So this row will be our 9 single crochets and 1 slip stitch at the end, and then we will meet back at the end of that row. Remember to place that first single crochet in that very first stitch. Okay, once you complete your slip stitch, remember you're on the outside, you want to chain 1, turn your work, and in that first stitch, not this one, but the next one will be a slip stitch, and then you will complete your 9 single crochets. And once you complete the 9 single crochets, join in the center, and we will meet back. I am at the end and joining, and this will be our last row. So chain 1, turn your work. This time you will be starting with your first single crochet, and you need to complete 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 more single crochets for this row, and that last stitch will be your slip stitch, and we will meet back. Okay, remember, once you are at the end, go ahead and chain 1, turn your work, and that first stitch, your slip stitch, you want to complete a single crochet in the next 10 stitches, and we will meet back. Once you complete your last single crochet, go ahead and join into that center, chain 1, and you can cut your yarn, and if you want to keep the same color, you can. Instead of chaining 1, you will chain 3, and we will catch up with you in a minute. But for those of you that are doing the multicolor for Halloween, go ahead and cut your yarn. Pull it through just to tighten it. And you can remove your stitch marker. And you can just tie these two together. And this is what we made, which could also be used for other things as well. It's very pretty. But lay it on the side for now and grab your second color. Okay, so once you have your next color, you can just attach it to these 2 yarn tails. Just tie a couple of knots and they'll be fine. Okay, and from this point we will be repeating this entire pattern to complete the second one. It's just a repeat, but we will do a couple just to get started again, and then from there I will let you finish your second piece, and then we will meet back. So to get caught up with the ones who chose to keep the same color, just grab your yarn, pull it through. You want to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. You will place a single crochet in that second chain. And you want to slip stitch in that first chain. Place that stitch marker in that same stitch. Next, you want to chain 1, turn your work, and remember to get started, a single crochet in your first stitch, back loop only, and a slip stitch in that second. Chain 1, turn your work, and start with a slip stitch. And a single crochet in that last stitch. And we're back at our stitch marker, so we want to place a slip stitch in that same stitch. Okay, so we completed our first row with our 1 single crochet, our 1 slip stitch. So next you will be doing your 2 single crochets, then your 1 slip stitch, and you want to continue, remember, until you have a total of 10 single crochets, 1 slip stitch, and then we will meet back at the end. Just remember, you can rewind if you want to, start from the beginning, and you're just repeating the same pattern as you did for this one. Okay, so I am completing my last row. Okay, at this point, do not lose your stitch, but you can remove your stitch marker. Pull this loop out just enough to where you still can get it, and I want you to turn your work to the back side. Take your hook and place it through this circle and back through your loop like that. You can pull to tighten it. And just pull that loop back to this side, and you're on the wrong side now. And you can fold them in half if you like, and you want to chain 26. Once you have 26, you can cut your yarn and just pull it to tight. And you can use your yarn needle if you want, but just make a couple of knots at the end of this. Next, cut that tail. And you can add a little glue if you like. Okay, next you have this first chain, and right here where you joined it, you can place your hook beneath that loop and join your yarn again, and you will be creating your second chain. You can tie it off to secure it. Just any of these yarn tail will be great to tie it to. Okay, and once again, chain 26. Once you have your 26, just cut your yarn and pull it. And this one I'll show you how you can use the yarn needle if you like to secure this little tail. I had to find a yarn needle. I don't know where anything is at anymore, but I'll get it back together. Okay, so just go into that last chain right here and just pull that tail through a couple of times. And once again, and this time go through this loop to secure. And cut your yarn flush with your tie, and if you like, add some glue. Okay, the next thing you can do is weave in these yarn tails, or you can do as I do. I'm just going to make a couple of knots in them like take 2 at a time and just make some secure knots, and then I'm just going to cut the yarn tails, and like I said, you can add glue and that will give it a more finished look. Okay, so this can be a completed look, or if you want, you can, like I say, use ribbons and go through each center, or you can cross them over and just tie a little knot and just take it back to the back to let them hang down. And that will be your little hair bow. How cute is that? And remember, it's Halloween, so you can make little spooky colors as well. And they could even wear these, you know, to school for Halloween. They can just wear it, have like a Halloween week, you know, just to show the colors. And that's that. And I appreciate you guys watching my little tutorial, and I will be back sooner than later, and hopefully I can tell you more about what took place at Yarnsensation, and then I will show you some more videos. But until then, I appreciate you guys, and I will be seeing you again real soon.